On April 22nd, 2021,
Chad, this is one of my favorite actors from back in the day. If you fuck with High School Musical, of course you love this guy.
Zac Efron appeared in Bill Nye's Earth Day special, and the world couldn't believe what they were seeing. He looked almost unrecognizable.
Yeah, bro. Holy shit.
His face, specifically his jaw, had grown significantly, and he had this bloated, puffy appearance that he never had in the past. Zac carried on as normal, as if nothing was out of the ordinary. But after seeing this, people couldn't talk about anything else. A big part of the reason everyone was so taken aback was because of the reputation that Zac previously had. For the longest time, he was one of Hollywood's male beauty icons, and his good looks were a huge part of his appeal. He was on bedroom walls, the cover of magazines, and in the hearts of fans all around the world. So seeing him like that,
he really did have like a perfect face back in the day. You know what I mean?
Was genuinely shocking, and things only got more extreme from there.
He started over-mewed.
In the months following that Earth Day special, Zac's face retained that swollen, reconstructed look, but it was soon matched by a body bulked up to near cartoonish proportions. The lean, boyish charm that defined his High School Musical era, and even the shredded, beach-ready fame of his
even back in the day, you didn't think he was cute at least?
Baywatch days had vanished. In its place was a figure that looked more like a sculpted action hero, hypermasculine, overbuilt, and oddly artificial. So the question is, what on earth happened to him? Well, Zac offered an explanation, but the more you look at his transformation, especially in the lead up to his movie The Iron Claw, the more it starts to feel like that explanation might be covering up something else. Because if there's one thing Hollywood rewards, it's a body that sells, and Zac Efron may have sold his more than anyone ever realized. From a young age, Zac showed a clear passion and natural flair for the performing arts, and his parents were all in. They enrolled him in local theatre productions and singing lessons, helping him hone his skills early on. Before long, Zac was landing roles in community theatre, and soon after, a talent agency took notice. By 2006, while most kids his age were focused on finishing high school, Zac had already appeared in the TV movie Miracle Run, made guest appearances on shows like Firefly, and held a recurring role on Summerland. At the time, acting wasn't even Zac's main goal. He'd worked hard to get good grades and planned to go on to college, but that all changed when he landed the lead role in what seemed at the time like a modest Disney Channel original movie, High School Musical.
I was so ready for college, man. I worked so hard, I got good grades. I had a 4.3 when I left high school.
4.3?
So I probably would have
It was Justin Bieber. I love JB.
gone on to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Little did he know that this small movie would become his breakout hit and change his entire life overnight. In High School Musical, Zac played Troy Bolton, a high school basketball star secretly passionate about singing. When the movie premiered in 2006, it pulled in nearly 8 million viewers and quickly became a teen sensation. The soundtrack, led by Zac and his co-star Vanessa Hudgens, was one of the top
Age gets us all at some point.
selling albums in the US. Its standout track, Breaking Free, shot to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, giving Zac his first major music milestone. Disney doubled down on the High School Musical craze, releasing 2 sequels that each pulled in bigger numbers than the last.
When I was a
By the
kid.
time the third film hit theaters in 2008, it wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon, and Zac was at the center of it all. He was everywhere, on magazine covers, posters, red
And he's got like the douchiest, like, pretty boy name of all time, Zac Efron. I never even watched it all the way through. I watched the first High School Musical. I don't remember the second two if I did.
carpets, you name it. To millions of teenage fans, he wasn't just an actor, he was the teen idol of the era. Everywhere he went, he was swarmed by screaming fans, captivated by his looks, charm, and boy-next-door appeal. But the very thing that made him famous was also
He's almost 40. He was like 22 in High School Musical.
starting to box him
Isn't
in.
that crazy?
In 2007, Zac starred in Hairspray, a musical set in the 1960s
I like that
about
movie.
a
I like that movie.
teen who dreams of dancing on a popular TV show while standing up against racial segregation. He played
First
Blake
of all,
Larkin, a popular singer with a slick Elvis
It's
vibe.
so
and a
I
heart of
know.
gold. On the surface, the film felt a bit different to High School Musical. Director Adam Shankman even had some initial hesitation about casting Zac because he wondered whether his Disney image might clash with the film's more serious undertones. However, the promise of capturing a massive teen audience sealed the deal. Zac
To
got
High
the
School
part,
Musical?
and the movie became another
You didn't watch High School Musical until Tennessee?
a commercial win, but in reality, his character was just another version of Troy Bolton. The time period and styling were different, but the core of the role, the heartthrob with the wholesome edge, was exactly the same. As far as Hollywood was concerned, there was no need to change what was already selling, so this became the cycle. Slightly different films, slightly different characters, but always orbiting the same image. Take 17 again, for example. Zac played the younger version of a 37-year-old dad who magically transforms back into his teenage body. The movie had no songs, but the rest was familiar. High school hallways, a flashy car, and the same effortless cool that made him famous. By this point, Zac was starting to express that he wanted more. In interviews, he talked about seeking new challenges and stepping out of the teen heartthrob box, but the industry wasn't ready to see him any other way. The team behind 17 Again had sold him on the idea that
I love it. I hear more movies. 17 Again is okay.
The movie was a step forward for his career, but people were treating him exactly the same way. Instead of focusing on his acting skills, interviewers would constantly bring up his body, hair, or looks.
I know that a lot of ladies have crushes on you, and when we were watching the movie, and I don't get like this either. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, I love Brad Pitt, oh my god, I love this person. It's not me. I never had a poster of a guy on my wall. I never, like, I had pictures of animals on my wall in high school. Like, I never was like, oh my god, I think he's so hot. You are, though.
Oh, wow, thank you.
And when you took off your shirt in the movie, everybody was, like, gasping. All the women in the audience started gasping, and I started laughing.
Tiff Woodchup and Zac Efron's on screen. Was weird in that movie, yeah.
I'm like, okay, I agree this time.
That's hilarious. Thank you.
Another interviewer was just openly flirting with him on camera.
You are quite stunning in real life, I must say.
No, thank you.
That sounds really odd. Very odd.
She showed her wedding ring? That's crazy. Sends a new version. Chill. I wish.
But the guys back home, they said to me, oh, you've got to
Zac Efron's on that level.
And I'm like, God, I'm like 10 years older than him.
Check it out.
A bit older than that, probably. So do you like older women?
Absolutely. Man, you haven't seen 17 Again, obviously.
Yeah.
Even simple questions
like
always came back to his looks.
How do you keep your hair looking
she
so
took
good
it.
all the time?
That's kind of like a compliment almost, thank you.
The time Zac was asked about his career and where he saw himself going, he was met with skepticism and doubt.
Is there a part of you that thinks, well, this is great and this is wonderful and I love it, but I've really got to, you know, be able to do other things, like not to be just part of this one particular kind of idea in people's minds?
Yes, absolutely. That's very important to me. Earlier in the year before we filmed High School Musical, I was able to do 2 other movies. One's called 17 Again, and that's a family comedy, non-musical. And then
family comedy. There's a lot of sexuality in that movie.
Well, in a way.
With these interviews,
Deep down,
no, for
Zac
real.
knew the interviewer was right, and in the years following, he started making more deliberate choices to secure the right roles. He turned down Footloose, a remake of an 80s musical, because he felt the role was too similar to Troy Bolton and Link Larkin.
You know what? It was nothing against the project. I think Footloose will make a fantastic movie, but I'm looking for a new challenge.
It was clear Zac wanted to be taken seriously, but the real question was whether Hollywood would actually give him a chance.
Footloose,
he finally got the opportunity to prove he was more than just a teen idol in his next 2 films. In 2010, he starred in Charlie St. Cloud.
Charlie St. Cloud was a good-ass movie.
The tragic loss of his little brother. Then came The Lucky One, where Zac played Logan Thibault, a US Marine who survives war and becomes convinced a photo that he found during combat brought him luck. These films marked a noticeable shift. They weren't teen musicals or high school dramas. They were more grounded, adult stories with heavier emotional themes.
It's a sad
and for the first time, Zac wasn't just playing the heartthrob. He was taking risks and showing a new side of himself.
I love whatever I'm doing. I think as long as I'm learning something new, you know, as long as I'm growing or stretching, I don't know. I love taking roles where there's an element of risk involved, and you know, playing a Marine was
super sad. I enjoyed it though.
You have to get just right.
For The Lucky One, he trained with real Navy SEALs and packed on around 20 pounds of muscle, going from the slim Disney kid to a more grown, physical guy.
I trained every day with a Navy SEAL, and it was a pretty grueling training process. And then on top of that, just had to eat a ton of calories, all healthy calories.
But despite pouring more emotion and discipline into his roles,
I think he looks better in, like, I guess the surprise say like 25 to 28 years, I would guess, maybe 30. I think he looks like, you know, a higher, like, if you're just thinking about like appeal scale, like the attractiveness scale, like, because obviously he's a different type of dude. Like, for example, like if you put me next to like Jason Momoa, like, you know, we're both attractive, but like it's different kinds of attractive. Like, I feel like this outweighs his like tweeny look he had.
Hollywood didn't seem to take Zac seriously. For those films, he didn't get the recognition he hoped for from big award shows like the Oscars or Golden Globes. Instead, it came from the Teen Choice Awards, an annual show voted on by kids aged 13 and over. For his performance in The Lucky One, Zac won 2 Teen Choice Awards and 1 People's Choice Award.
He wasn't even a teenager.
Choice movie actor drama is...
Despite taking on risks to evolve as an actor, it was clear the industry still saw him the same way. Over time, Zac seemed to accept that if Hollywood wasn't going to recognize his acting skills, maybe his appearance could open doors.
Making a joke
After the
about
attention
this?
his
What was
physical
the joke?
transformation received in The Lucky One, he decided to try and embrace it. The muscles, the more mature image, it all became a part of the new Zac Efron. He went on to star in films like The Paperboy and That Awkward Moment, both of which had a common thread.
I never saw
Zac
those
was
two.
sexualized, with his image often speaking louder than his acting. In The Paperboy, for example, his character Jack uses his physical appeal to increase attention with Nicole Kidman's character Charlotte. He spends much of the film shirtless, drenched in rain or sweat, with the camera
getting
focused on
teen
one
awards?
thing and
That's
one
crazy.
thing only: his body.
Tidy whities are crazy.
A review by The Guardian summed it up perfectly, saying, "Efron is cast first and foremost as an object of beauty, exploited by the camera in ways hard-boiled genre films tend to reserve for women. At one point, he strips down to white briefs to dance with a fully clothed Kidman in the rain. In That Awkward Moment, Zac teamed up with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan to play 3 friends who make a pact to
Damn,
avoid
Michael B.
relationships
Jordan,
and
Zac Efron in one movie.
pursue casual flings. Zac's shirtless scenes were the movie's main selling point, and it was no secret. Reviews of the film couldn't ignore the glaring focus on his body, with one saying, "And for those who are interested, nearly all of Efron is on display." Same goes for Jordan and Teller,
That's so
but let's face
funny.
it, on the disrobing front, Efron is the top liner. During an appearance on Ellen, the conversation quickly turned to how much skin he showed in the movie.
Can we just show this one hilarious scene, and you'll see why he's like this when you see the movie. But there's a photo of you needing to use the restroom. And,
Bro, Ellen really is the worst, bro. She really is the fucking worst. I bet he hates that. I bet he fucking hates that. So funny.
At the 2014 MTV Movie Awards, Zac was nominated for Best Shirtless Performance, and he made a deal with his fans
That's
on Twitter
damn
ahead of the
smart.
event, saying,
No, right.
"If I beat Thor, I'm accepting the award shirtless on stage." When the night came, he ended up winning.
How you doing? Wow, thank you.
After he thanked the crowd, the singer Rita Ora, who was one of the presenters, walked up behind him and pulled his shirt off.
Thank you so much to my fans.
That's a stunt, bro, because whose shirt unbuttons that easy? It's an award category, uncomfortable girl, huh? Oh, he's tan.
For the next few days, pictures and videos of that moment were everywhere. The overt use of his physique to sell tickets didn't stop there, as it happened
He's
again
loyal
just a little
too.
later that year with his movie Neighbors. The film was a raunchy, R-rated comedy that allowed him to show off his comedic chops, but at its core, it was still about his body. It centered on Zac's character, Teddy Sanders, the leader of a college frat who's full
Lord,
of
what
charm,
is
good
crazy
looks, and
Nah, it's
swagger.
awesome.
A young couple played by Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne move in next door to the frat house, leading to an
I'm gonna start doing that, chat. 40 gifted subs. I stream the rest of the stream with my shirt off.
war between both sides. While Teddy wasn't the typical leading man of Zac's past
I gotta
roles,
take a
the
play
film
from
still
his
used
book.
his physique as a major selling point, with plenty of shirtless scenes
That's crazy for bro. Imagine frat boys actually looked like that instead of like their beer bellies and like weird facial hair and shit. 40 right now.
and plenty of jokes about his attractiveness.
Birth time.
So even though he had more interesting material to work with, he was still sold as the guy everyone wants to look at.
You're shirtless in a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
But I heard Seth was making you take your shirt off for no reason.
Yeah, I know.
Time's up,
Constantly.
dude.
He would say, just Zach's shirt off for the scene. And I'd be like, okay, yes, sir.
Commercially, Neighbors was a hit. The film
That's
grossed over
crazy.
270 million worldwide, proving Zac's ability to bring in the box office numbers. But it was also the moment his image image as the hot shirtless guy truly stuck, and Hollywood didn't want to see him as anything else. Zac seemed to embrace it, pushing aside his earlier ambitions for more dramatic and meaningful roles to capitalize on what was working. But even though he was finding success, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. You see, around that time, Zac began seriously struggling with substance abuse issues. Although he appeared to be doing well on the surface, the pressures of his fame were getting to him. Like many celebrities do, he found himself turning to alcohol and cocaine to cope. At first, he started using substances as a social lubricant.
It's not for you. Just feed into it. I mean, listen, bro, I think that, like, I don't know, I shave my chest as much as I can. I don't know, but if, like I said, it's not my personal thing. I know some people like it.
Way to handle the constant scrutiny and public attention, but it quickly evolved into something he couldn't control. He was missing days on set, turning up to shoots hungover, and spiraling deeper and deeper into an addiction. Thankfully, he did something about it fast, checking himself into rehab and getting the help he needed. However, not long after, he relapsed and began drinking again. The public had no idea as he kept it all under wraps, but his friends and family were seriously worried. He ended up going back to rehab for a second time and getting clean for good. And 6 months later, he was spotted in the crowd at a Lakers game wearing a 6-month sobriety chip. It was a dark period in his life, but he kicked the habit quickly. However, his drug usage would begin again a few years later, just in a different form. After the success of Neighbours, Zac starred in 2 films where his body was once again front and center. We Are Your Friends in 2015 and Dirty Grandpa in 2016.
Oh, Dirty Grandpa was fun.
In Dirty Grandpa, he starred alongside Robert De Niro, playing a lawyer tasked with driving his recently widowed grandfather to Florida. But instead of a sweet bonding trip, it turns into a wild, raunchy spring break adventure. The movie is filled with lots of shirtless workouts, beach scenes, and parties. And even though Zac's character is meant to be the uptight, nerdy type, his shirt comes off at every opportunity. The film flopped, earning just a 10% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and some critics
I've watched till now. That movie was well worth the watch.
Described it as the worst movie they've ever seen.
I liked
a fate
that movie.
wasn't all too surprising, given it was yet another surface level role that relied heavily on Zac's appearance. By this point, it wasn't just critics speaking up. Fans were starting to notice too. Zac was becoming a caricature of himself, someone who kept getting hired to take his shirt off and flex over and over again. And the situation reached a boiling point with his role in Baywatch, where the obsessive focus on his looks went from pigeonholing his career to taking a serious toll on his health. In Baywatch, Zac played Matt Brody, a disgraced Olympian and hothead with a knack for clashing with everyone. For nearly half the film, he and his co-star Dwayne Johnson were locked in a flex-off, competing in all kinds of over-the-top strength challenges. You can see Zac's body was absolutely shredded. He looked ripped in his previous roles.
I'm not scared of hair. Baywatch the movie too. I never seen Baywatch. I liked Baywatch.
But this was another level. He claimed that to achieve that, he had to put his body through hell, going through an intense training process and following a strict, clean diet.
For most roles, you change something. But I think probably the one role that I had to change the most for was probably Baywatch. In that movie, I adopted a really, really specific eating regimen.
His head looks too big for his body.
Potatoes, like that. And I just did that the entire film. So that was the most extreme I had ever gone. I think I was in ketosis that entire
sometimes
film.
It's too much.
Even after completely transforming into the super
low-key icky. Thank you, Ali.
human version of
Zac Efron can pull it off, but like if you're not Zac Efron, you're not pulling it off.
himself, Baywatch didn't give Zac the payoff he'd hoped for. It didn't perform all that well at the box
Good sis has trauma.
office, and as is becoming the theme,
Alu
critics laid into him for his performance. It was so bad that he was nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Actor in 2018. But the true cost wasn't just in the reviews. It was in the toll that pushing his body this far took on his health. A few years after the movie was released, Zac admitted he'd been taking diuretics to stay that lean, which messed him up badly. The drug reduces water retention and enhances muscle definition, but at a steep cost. He ended up battling insomnia and even slipped into depression, and it took him 6 months after getting off the drugs just to start feeling normal again. In his Hot Ones interview, he opened up about the whole experience, admitting that while he was proud of the results, he would never want to get in that kind of shape again.
I realized that, like, when I was done with that movie, I don't ever want to be in that good a shape again. Really. It's like, it was so hard. You're working with almost no wiggle room, right? You've got things like water under your skin that you're worrying about, like making your 6-pack into a 4-pack, shit like that. That's just like not it's just stupid.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not real. And like, I'm happy that that it worked. I'm happy that it got me through it. I may do it again if it was something worthwhile, but we'll wait till it gets to that. I don't need to. I'm good. Take care of your heart, take care of your brain. You're good.
He seemed uncomfortable with how much attention that version of him got, and when he saw the wax figure of his Baywatch body, he made it clear it isn't something to idolize.
That's too big, and don't try and get for guys. That's unrealistic. I'm telling you. Like
I like his hair like
I
that.
got very big and buff for that movie, but I don't want people to think that's the best way to be. Like, be your size. Like, don't.
Yeah.
It's not. Like, I don't want.
Bro, if Ali got a hold of that wax figure, bro, Jesus Christ. It's like steroids. Oh, he definitely did steroids in that movie. It was a good era. Yeah, I fuck with that.
Glamorize this.
Following the whole health scare from Baywatch, Zac wanted a reset.
It's
After years
better.
of roles that leaned on his physique, he decided to return to his roots, movie musicals. He starred alongside Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman, a biographical musical about P.T.
I
Barnum
never
and
watched
his
that
famous
movie.
circus from the
It
late
would have
19th century.
melted. Jesus, bro, the mouth would have been chewed off.
In the film, Zac played Philip
Better.
Carlisle, P.T. Barnum's
That's what I
business
just said
partner,
of me.
and a performer in his own right. He sang, danced, and brought a surprising sense of wit and emotional depth to the role. It was a full circle moment with him finally back in a musical, but this time as an adult performer commanding the screen. While The Greatest Showman still showcased Zac's charm and attractiveness, his character wasn't defined by his body. Instead, he portrayed a romantic,
Showman.
emotional figure.
Is that
Something fans
Zendaya?
hadn't seen from him in a long time. The movie was a hit, grossing $434 million on a budget of $84 million, and winning several awards, including a Grammy. Finally,
Yes.
Zac was being recognized
I
for his
remember that
talents,
movie, but I
not
never
just his
watched it.
looks. Then in 2019, he took a sharp left turn. He starred in Extremely Wicked, shockingly
I loved this movie.
evil and vile, playing the infamous serial killer Ted Bundy. The role was controversial, with some feeling the movie romanticized Bundy's crimes and disrespected his victims by not showing the crimes themselves. But while the film drew backlash, Zac's performance didn't. Critics and fans agreed he embodied Bundy's charm and
It's
good
so-
looks
I
with
know.
unsettling ease,
Never
making
saw
it
it.
believable that someone so outwardly likable could hide something so dark. After this movie,
It was
Zac
good.
switched things up.
I did feel the same way about the movie. Like, it only showed like his social life aspect of it and like a lot of the good he did and a lot of the charm and like manipulation he did, and it wasn't showing as much as the evil, terrible, sick things Ted Bundy did. So it did like portray Ted Bundy, and it's like, oh, he's killing people, but look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. So it showed a whole other like it limited a lot of it. I really love Zac Efron. Now I know.
with a Netflix travel and lifestyle show
It's a
called
good
Down
movie.
to Earth. The show featured he and his buddy Darren Orlean traveling the world, exploring cool ways to live healthier and more eco-friendly. They visited places like Iceland, France, Costa Rica, and
God, that's a
London,
nice
learning
ass
about
beard.
sustainable living and different cultures along the way. The show dropped in June 2020 during the pandemic, and it became a go-to for many, offering chill vibes and helpful tips on how to live better.
We need to start rethinking how we consume.
And a really good person was not it. Yeah. The way they portrayed the story of Ted Bundy wasn't the best, but his acting was great.
Whoa, look at that. That's Mother Earth. Dude, that's some power.
After that first season, Zac started gaining new fans. People liked
I would do that, chat. With Oh, I love Evan Peters. Listen, Evan Peters fanboy here. Not even gonna lie. Anything Evan Peters is in, I'm gonna watch. Loved it. I hated the sound effects. It was so good. Chat, I want to do that. Deadass 2026. Who's down to meet me in California and get like rent a van and travel across the United States all the way to North Carolina from California? Like make YouTube videos, stop, each state we go through and like explore stuff. I would be so down to do that, like a 4 or 5 day road trip. I'm Evan Peters. That would be cool. I've driven from North Carolina to California twice, so it's not the first time, but I drove it straight. Like I didn't stop. I would stop at like rest stops and like take a 2-3 hour nap and back on the fucking road. But I would love to like plot out a fun course, and I think that would be like another notch on my belt of like things I've done, experienced, and some amazing content. Count me in. Hell yeah. Maybe that's what I'll do. Once I move in April of 2026, I'll move to North Carolina, get all my stuff set up, and then save up some money and fly back to California and get a van there and then take it across the country with you guys. Like, we could probably realistically do like 3 or 4 people, like including myself. Unless we had more than one van. Who's the driver? We'd take turns.
How down to earth he came across. Gone was the super polished,
Unless you're a bad
almost
driver.
cardboard cutout look he'd had for years. And in its place, we saw a more rugged, authentic version.
To Cali, because then if I fly back to Cali and then I can drive just back home and stop at home. And I wouldn't have to. Because if I do NC to Cali, then I'll have to go back. So, I mean, either way.
Version of him. But just when people started getting used to this new label,
I think going from California to North Carolina would be more fun because the end of the trip I would be done. And it wouldn't be like, oh, I'm in California, I just want to fly back to North Carolina. Like, it'd be better just to pull up to my house.
Of Zac, something completely unexpected happened.
A big budget Broadway musical spectacular? Bill, wow. I mean, I knew you were smart, but
yeah, I
you're a
guess.
genius.
In April 2021, Zac appeared in the Facebook Earth Day special alongside Bill Nye, and fans immediately noticed something was off. His face looked different. His jawline was thicker, more squared off, and unnaturally defined. His face also looked puffy and bloated in a way it never had in the past. Within hours, the internet lit up with speculation. Many joked he looked like handsome Squidward. Others said that he resembled Lord Farquaad. And some even compared him to The Weeknd's exaggerated plastic surgery look in Save Your Tears. The memes spread fast, and so did the rumors. Everyone had a theory, and the most popular one, plastic surgery. There was no explanation from Zac, just silence, so the speculation only grew. If you googled his name that week, nearly every headline was about his face. Even his mom.
Jawline filler is a thing? Damn, that must be a lot of filler, bro, to go on your jaw. Damn, bro, you can never trust it.
Called him to ask if he'd had work done, and to be fair, the public suspicion wasn't baseless. Zac had a well-known track record of pushing his body to extremes for roles, so the idea that he might have turned to cosmetic and
it's different. For skinny boys, it's easy to get a jawline. Actually, no, it's genetic, bro. Like, I got like my dad's side of the family, and they all are really sharp jawlines. Like, if you look at my dad and my mom's side of the family are completely opposite. Like, my mom's side, my grandpa on my mom's side is 5'5". They got like a very rounded face, a rounded nose. They don't really have jawlines, and I'm not shitting on them. They just really don't like my brother and my sister take more from my mom's side, and I take more from my dad's side. But I'm also taller, and I'm like a lot longer and skinnier. So when we go to family reunions, and most time we go to family reunions is on my mom's side. My dad was an orphan, so he doesn't have a lot of family. But other than his brother, one of his uncles. But on my mom's side, like, we go there, and me and my dad just look like giants.
Enhancements didn't seem far-fetched.
Because everyone's so short.
More than a year later,
my mom's 4'11", so.
He finally addressed the rumors in an interview with Men's Health, giving a full explanation. According to Zac, the change had nothing to do with plastic surgery. He said that back in 2013, he was running through his house in socks, slipped, and smashed his chin on the granite corner of a fountain. He blacked out, and when he came to, his chin bone was hanging off his face. Doctors wired his jaw shut, and he spent 6 weeks on a liquid diet. But he said the real change in his appearance didn't happen back then.
Oh my God.
It happened years later, after he stopped doing physical therapy. During recovery, he'd been working with a specialist to help retrain the muscles in his face. But when he took a break from therapy, his masseter muscles, the ones at the back of the jaw that help you chew, started to overcompensate. They grew larger, and that, he said, is what made his jaw look so different in 2021.
If he was gonna get plastic surgery, he wouldn't get that. Come on.
You got a good job, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's fucked.
You're just stirring the pot.
No, it was funny. It sucked. I almost died, but we're good.
This moment showed just how much things changed after his transformation. Years earlier, people adored his looks, but now they were mocking them. And the sad part, he wasn't chasing vanity. He was just trying to recover, or at least that's what he led us to believe. But when behind-the-scenes photos from the Iron Claw surfaced, a new theory started to gain traction, one that had nothing to do with an old injury. To play pro wrestling.
I mean, I'll say this: the compensation is absolutely a real thing. Poor dude. I will say this: the jaw story might have something to do with it, but from my experience with knowing lots of bodybuilders, being a personal trainer, fitness, everything, it looks like he took human growth hormone. And human growth hormone is notorious to grow your jaw. So it'll grow your muscles, it'll grow the size of your chest, it'll grow your rib cage, you overall become a bigger person. Human growth hormone isn't exactly a steroid, but you can kind of think of it working similar. Basically, what human growth hormone does, it's not actual human growth hormone. It's a compound that stimulates your pituitary gland in your body. Your pituitary gland stimulates naturally. You always have human growth hormone going throughout your body. That doesn't mean you're going to grow bigger. It just means human growth hormone takes care of so many different things. But when you take something that overstimulates your pituitary gland, your jaw can get bigger, your nose can get bigger, your ears can grow, your fingernails. If you look at people like really big, like giant, like liquid fingernails, a lot of times it's from like an overstimulation of human growth hormone. Our roids, talking about Zac Efron.
Kevin Von Erich, Zac underwent a dramatic physical transformation, even by his standards.
And like you get extended bellies, and in one of the pictures I kind of saw he had an extended belly.
Kevin Von Erich.
Does that have bad side effects? Yeah, really bad. I mean, a lot of people can take human growth hormone safely through a doctor's prescription for different things. If there's a reduction, for example, you can take MK677, which is a it's called a SARM, but it's a selective androgen receptor module. And basically what that does is stimulates natural growth hormone, and it slows down aging in the body. So a lot of people will take that, and it's you can get it prescribed, you can get it illegally, but it's not as a crazy supplement to take, and it'll reduce aging, helps with recovery, helps your joints. They give it to a lot of people going in their 50s and 60s because it just helps with arthritis, things like that.
Eric, Zac underwent a dramatic physical transformation, even by his standards. He packed on more muscle than
Yeah. That's an HGH gut. So you see how he still has abs, but his stomach is coming out? You see like a lot of bodybuilders, like WWE fighters, and they'll have this big gut, but they still have abs. And it's not because they're fat, it's because the HGH your body produces more insulin as well, so you get that stomach. Because you ever seen someone who takes insulin, their stomach will bloat, and it's not fat, it's bloating. Like a diabetic. It's just a side effect of that. Just as I always wondered why. Yeah, when you get insulin, it causes your stomach to bloat really, really bad. And if you have like an increased amount of insulin in your body, your stomach will bloat.
4. His chest was thicker, his shoulders broader, and his arms looked like they belonged to someone who lived in the gym. His frame changed completely, taking on that exaggerated, bulky look you'd expect from a bodybuilder. And once the movie hit screens, the conversation shifted. It was no longer just what happened to his jaw. It became, how did he bulk up like that? That's when the PED rumors started. Gaining lean muscle tissue gets harder the more you already have, and Zac wasn't starting from scratch. He was already in great shape, but the version of him we saw in The Eye and Claw looked like something else entirely. Naturally, people started asking questions, because they'd seen this kind of transformation.
But the thing is, every actor in Hollywood who needs to bulk up for a role takes some sort of performance enhancing drug, and they'll lie to you all day long and say they're not, but they are.
Before. Just look at Conor McGregor, whose head and muscle mass ballooned seemingly overnight in 2021, triggering steroid speculation. Or Kumail Nanjiani, whose jump from comedy star to Marvel superhero came with a visibly bulkier face and larger jaw. There are numerous celebrity transformations just like this, and Zac became a new...
The reason people will use HGH, human growth hormone, over steroids is because human growth hormone doesn't take a toll on a lot of different things like your sex drive. Steroids can make you go infertile. They can cause heart attacks. They can make your heart grow. They can make your teeth fall out, make your hair fall out. They can make you go blind. They can steroids can do all kinds of types of dangerous things to you. And human growth hormone doesn't have that risk of killing you like steroids do.
Newest on the list. Some fans noticed something else about him too, what looked like a bubble gut, a distended, bloated stomach often associated with HGH.
I'm so fucking smart. I'm so fucking smart, bro. Come. Oh!
Use. This drug doesn't just grow muscle, it can disrupt digestion, and even change facial structure. And again, it isn't a stretch to believe Zac took it. He already admitted to using performance-enhancing methods to achieve his Baywatch.
So this looks more like steroids on this side, right? And he said he got bad side effects over it. Remember? Because like steroids, they'll chisel you out, make you defined, all kinds of stuff. Blah, blah, blah. And then this is human growth hormone.
body. So maybe whatever he took to build his frame for the Iron Claw was the same thing that altered his face. The frustrating part for Zac was that even after delivering one of the best performances of his career in that movie, the conversation still revolved around his body. It seems no matter how much he changes, the roles, the physique, the commitment, the story stays the same. The industry still sees him as an image first, an actor second. It happened again in his most recent movie, A Family Affair, and it will most likely continue to happen. But the truth is, in many ways, he hasn't helped himself. He's played the game, leaned into the image, and chased...
But here's the thing, bro. If you're an actor making millions and millions of dollars, just take your shirt off, get your millions, and just live a wholesome, fulfilling life, and then you can keep your job kind of separate. You know what I mean? The movie was so ass. You saw Iron Claw?
Transformations that have kept the spotlight on how he looks, not what he can do.
One they mentioned.
We saw some glimpses of the career he could have had, but ultimately the conversation around him has always wound up back in the same place. And that's the trap. When your looks have been your currency for so long, at some point it becomes hard for people to see anything else.
Bomba clot.